So last week we talked, just very quickly, we talked about the cost of staying the same, and we talked about when the current clients I can get this cheaper elsewhere, and all the other messages like that. Where it's all about your fee. Make sure that you're comparing like for like, and they're comparing it to zero, such as the cost of doing nothing. Sometimes they're comparing it to a cheaper agency. Both are the wrong comparisons. So your job is to change the number they measure it against. We talked about what's the implication if that vacancy remains empty. We talked about previously, the first week, Mike talked about raising your standards and the importance of doing that. We talked about your emotional state before you go into the meeting. But all this is about just the way you enter the meeting. Because here's the deal. All those things matter. But this one, in my opinion, matters more than most. So let me repeat. Those that are prepared to walk away from the deal will serve the hiring manager better than those that aren't. What your role is to make sure the hiring manager makes the right decision. Neediness, and we've all been needy and desperate for sales. I'm not knocking it, by the way. We've all been there. But it's not a thought, it's a signal. And here's what you need to know. The moment you're feeling needy, your client can pick up on that. I'll give you a cast iron guarantee. Let me repeat that. The moment you feel you desperately need this sale, the client will pick up on it. And if some of you remember in the sales script, we say things like, we encourage you to say things like, purpose of this course to work out if or how I can help you. If I can't help you, I will let you know and try and point you in the right direction. You're indicating you're there to help them. You're not there to push this deal through. And we've all been there as recruiters when you need that deal this month, this quarter. In my last role as a recruiter, we were measured on quarters. So if you've had 2 lousy months, the last month of the quarter, you're walking around on your hands and knees begging for sales, because this month really matters in terms of that. But here's the key. Detachment is not pretending that you don't care. Detachment means that you're caring about the right thing. You care about the decision, not the deal. I want to repeat that. You want to care about the decision that the hiring managers make, not what it means to you. Think about a sale when you badly needed to close it. Did you win it? And be honest. Could the client tell how desperately you needed that sale? Neediness repels, advocacy attracts. Together, they make the client want to buy. Perhaps I'm going to put this in the chat box here, because this is really, I really want you to get this. Really, what I want you to do, I want you to picture a handful of dry sand in my hand right now. And I want you to do the same. You're holding this hand, and you're holding it loosely in your hand like this, in the cup of your hand. And it stays in your palm. But the moment that you grip it hard, it starts to run through your fingers. And the deal is exactly the same. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. And the thing is, the client feels that. And the tighter you grip, the more the client pulls away. Most recruiters think, just close the deal, just push harder, just chase faster. That's gripping the sand. And it almost guarantees that you're going to lose a sale. To solve this, loosen the grip. I'm not talking about not caring anymore. I'm talking about stop needing. Because now the advocacy half, and this is the part that actually wins the work. Think about it. Tell me if you've experienced this. You go to a restaurant. In fact, you go to a restaurant, and it's a great restaurant, and you say something like, "Oh, I'm going to have a salmon today." And the waiter says something like this: "Not a bad choice, but do you know what? The chicken's even better. I personally would recommend the chicken." Here's what happens to you as they say that. You've trusted that waiter completely. You took every other recommendation they make, you take it. You've probably spent more. See, the waiters advocate against their own immediate interest and earn from you total trust. Here's the thing about that. Restaurants train their staff to do that on purpose, because the trust pays back many times over. That's advocacy. You tell the client the truth when the truth costs you the quick sale. When you're willing to walk away, you can tell the truth. And there's a lot of talk about going into the sales call with, this may not be right for both of us. This is the conversation you're having. If it's not right for both of us, I'm happy to walk away from this. This has got to be a win-win for both the client and the recruiter. The willingness to lose the deal, if it's not right, will win you the deal. You're not going to close harder. You're going to make yourself the person they cannot afford to ignore. So, how do you get the hiring managers to want to buy from you more than you want to sell? Because this is what this is all about. You want the hiring manager to buy more than you want to sell. You make it clear that you will tell them when the hiring's not right. That's when they're going to lean in. Many years ago, as a recruiter, one of my clients was a company, I don't know if they're still around actually, Thomas Cook, the travel retail company, and the IT director, I got on with him really well. And I think part of my reason for doing it at the time, because we had a great relationship, he was a client, but also a friend. We used to go cycling together as well. I was a keen road cyclist. And he wanted to take this individual on who, in my opinion, could do the job. But this individual, his name was also Mike, was really entrepreneurial and want to do things his way. But my client Mike wanted to take him on, and it was more about personality. I just thought, I don't think you two are going to get on. I actually said to him, Mike, I don't think you're going to get on, and I think you're taking a risk taking them on. Can I suggest that you take him on a contract basis for 6 months or so? There's very little risk there. This is a big role, and me taking that stance, he did take him as a contractor. And I wasn't surprised. They didn't get on at all. I think part of it was that they were very alike. That was part of it. But they didn't get on at all. And he lasted 4 months. But it really cemented our relationship because I said, I don't think this guy's right for you. But don't take that risk. Just take him on a short-term contract because I think it's going to backfire. So here's a question for you. Is there a deal on the desk? There's a deal opportunity right now that perhaps you're gripping too tightly. What would change if you were willing to walk away from it? Here's the hard truth. The deals that you're gripping the hardest are the ones that are slipping away because the client can feel you need them. We've got friends like this that are really needy. We've been in situations where we're buying a house or a car. Nobody enjoys that hard sell when the person selling to you is really needy. And detachment's not a personality type. It's to do with positioning. And the fastest way to build that position is to leave so much in your pipeline. You have so much in your pipeline, as Mike said earlier, that no single deal can hurt you. Neediness is usually a pipeline problem, wearing a mask. When you see salespeople that are needy, that's an indication of the pipeline. Because it takes nerves. It means being willing to tell a paying client, this isn't right for you, or we're not right for you. And look, how many times have you met a client and thought, in terms of personality type, I don't think we're going to get on. I met a potential client, a recruiter, who within 15 minutes of the conversation told me how he ripped off a hiring manager with the invoicing system. And my attitude was, if you're prepared to do that, that's who you are. I'm not going to work with you. Now, I didn't tell him why. I just said, we're probably not a good fit in this particular case. But you've got to be prepared to do that. Whose approval are you protected by staying quiet? Make the thing for everybody. Before every client conversation, ask yourself this one question. Am I here to make the sale or to get the decision right? Am I here to make the sale or get the decision right? The moment you commit to the decision over the deal, you stop gripping that sand. You get calm. You tell the truth. And the key thing is that's what the client feels. Detachment plus advocacy is a whole game. You don't need them. You're not right for everybody, and being right for them is worth more than a single fee. care about the decision, not about the deal. So here's what we need to do. I want you to, in fact, let me put this in here. And we've talked before, we talked previously about when you're feeling nervous or whatever emotions that you're feeling at any time, you're focusing on yourself. So for you to feel nervous, apprehensive, you're focusing on yourself. For you to be needy, you're focusing on yourself. But the call isn't about you. The call is about the hiring manager and their challenges. So part of this is just remembering this call isn't about you. You shouldn't feel needy. You shouldn't feel nervous, anything. And if you are, you're not doing your job because you're not focusing on the decision maker. So what I want you to do, I want you to go to school now, real quick, and what I want you to do is just type in the chat in school. What do I want you to type? My apologies. I want you to type what is it you're going to do differently on your next sales call. So just type real quickly, what is it you're going to do differently on your next sales call? I'll put it in the chat there. Stop needing the deal and start advocating for the decision. The moment that you do that, you will spend a lot less time selling because they will be too busy buying. That's what the objective of all this is. You want to get the hiring manager to buy or want to buy more than you want to sell. Part of this process, that process is when you're going to get them to do what's right for them. And you can tell them at times, Don gave an example, we probably can't help you on this one, but let me point in the direction of somebody that can. That kind of approach. Your sole aim is to do what's right for them. So one of the questions you ask there is, how soon do you want to see results? Do you want to see? The question is, and it's in the script. Do you want to see results sooner or later? By the way, everybody always says sooner, and they say define what you mean by sooner. Do you mean this year, 5 years from now? What do you mean by sooner? And get them to define it. But you have to, and if they might say we don't want it until 2028.
Yeah.
But it's asking those questions. But if you say, do you want it later or sooner? The decision maker always says sooner. Because we all want instant gratitude, don't we?
Absolutely.
So you can challenge that. When you say sooner, but you're not for another 2 years. Is that what you meant by sooner? You can challenge them on that. But it is about the questions that you ask. And that would be a key question in that situation. How soon do you want to see results?
Absolutely.
Later. And you deliberately do it the other way around. Rather than sooner than later, because that's how we normally say it, you say later or sooner, because they have to think about it for a minute. And they always go, oh, no, sooner. And then you get to define what's sooner for you. We're talking next week, next month, next quarter. The other question you could ask them that as well is, in your opinion, what's the typical notice period of this person? How soon would you want this individual to be at the desk, having an influence on the business? But they've got to factor all those times in. How long do you think it would take to find for a headhunter to find this type of candidate? Because again, it's about managing expectations. You might say, well, I'd imagine it'd take you a couple of weeks, wouldn't it, Mike? So maybe it's the education level. It is about asking those questions about what their understanding is and what their goals and needs are. Until next time, folks, take care, take action, be relentless.